to another Tears League episode. Yes, we're doing 2 weeks. We're doing week 5 and week 6 weekly results. Keep IO updated and what's going on. Last week we didn't pad, so I gonna let you know who won week 5 and who won last week. So with that being said, before we continue, we got a little surprise for you. So I didn't tell nobody this, but we have a new updated top 25 for my tiers league out of my 72 tier members, we have a updated roster. So after I finish with tier 3 and before I move into tier 2, I will show it off and yeah, we go from there.
Starting off with your week 5 results for Big 12. We have Mountain versus Breeze. Mountain won. Kimoy versus Ju. Ju took that game. Rain versus Gino. Gino won. Richie versus Shamoy. Shamoy won. Chris versus Iva. Chris took that game. And Plucky versus Vashel, with Vashel winning. Moving on to your week 6 results for Big 12. We have Mountain versus Chris. Mountain won. Shamoy versus Vashel. Vashel won. Rain versus Kimoy. Kimoy won. Breeze versus Richie. Richie took that game. Plucky versus Iva. Plucky won. And Ju versus Gino, with Gino winning.
Before we move on to the power rankings, this is your week 5 GM of the week. Shamoy was the GM of the week, a man among boys. And for your week 6 GM of the week, we have Mr. Vashel. I ain't gonna lie to you, coming into this one, nobody thought he was gonna win. Starting off 1-4, came in, he was 1-4, playing against a heavy Shamoy team who just came off GM of the week. Yeah, that's a big upset right there. And it was a blowout too. It wasn't even close. He didn't even use no more than 2 pickups. So yeah, big up to Vashel for GM of the week.
Okay, with all that being said, this is your Big 12 Week 7 power rankings. We have Gino at 1, Mountain at 2, 3 is Kimoy, 4 is Richie, 5 is Shamoy, Chris is 6, Ju is 7, Vashel is 8, Plucky is 9, Rain is 10, 11 is Iva, and 12 is Kadeem.
And before we move on, I ain't gonna lie to you, this is probably the worst year I ever had in fantasy, if I'm being honest with you. Yeah, it looked weird. I won a 5-1, but I just feel like I make a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes I don't usually make. I don't know. I just don't feel like I'm having a good year. Like, I was talking to Chris, and I was telling him like, yeah, averaging like 28, but I feel like I averaged 38. You know, it's like when Kobe averaging 26, when you know Kobe can average 35. You know, I even being cocky. I just being like, this is just how I explain. This is just my way of explaining it. Like, I just feel I can be a lot better than why I am right now, as far as like pickup wise. Like, for example, Rain making a lot of pickups. A lot of man making these gem pickups that I usually be on top of over them, and I feel like I'd be overthinking a lot of stuff. But yeah, I don't feel like I'm having a good year. I'm having a really bad year. I mean, yeah. Like, the way I do GM and the way I do build my team to win, I am miles behind where I want to be right now. Wow. Where I want to be right now? Yeah. But that's just my opinion. That's just how I feel right now. But I would say this though, I feel like Gino and Richie's having a really 2 amazing years. I do feel our conference, now you're looking at the conference, I do feel our conference is crazy, like insanely good. It's probably the toughest conference I ever been into. Doing fantasy for how much years? 11, 12? I don't even know how much it is. Whatever it is, this probably the hardest conference. I've been in some tough conference, but not 1 to 6. Like, don't mind Rain record being 1-5. Rain team is tough. Tough. And speaking of Rain, let me go straight into this Demotion watch. So straight into the Demotion watch, we have Kadeem at 1. Yeah, Kadeem is ain't looking good for Kadeem. That he tearing up actually. At some point, you just not even gonna see his name. But yeah, we get Karim at 1, Rain at 2. That's the 2 right there who is right now under Demotion watch. Then you still get Plucky and Kimoy. Kimoy right now 4 and 2. He looking really good. Plucky right now finally at 500, 3 and 3. And then we have Rain, Karim, 1 and 5. But it's weird because it's like I gonna get more into the Rain situation or his 1 and 5 compared to Karim 1 and 5, but I ain't gonna do it right now. So like before we move on, let me go straight into Richie's Big 12 parlay for week 7.
In the East, we have Mountain versus Kimoy, Rain versus Chris, Shamoy versus Vashel, Plucky versus Iva, Kadim versus Ju, Gino versus Richie. His last week results, he went 5 and 6.
And he's 27 and 36. Right now Richie's doing really good. 27 out of 36.
He cheating, man.
I don't know. He does.
How the hell he hitting every single week?
I mean, I tell her yo, from long. I have 4 names you can watch, and you can be like, yeah, they gonna get a dub. I just one of them.
I having a bad year.
I might lose this week, so I don't know why he picked me to win. So, yeah, that's that.
Okay, now moving on to tier 3, we have their week 5 results. We had Jimbo versus Ricky. Jimbo won that game. Draco versus Turbo. Turbo won that game. The Unknown versus Bread. Bread won that game. Ernie versus Jed. Jed won that game. Risha versus Chabo. Chabo took that one. And Manny versus Ish, with Ish winning. Moving on to the week 6 results. In the East, we have Jimbo versus Risha. Jimbo won that game. Draco versus Ernie. Ernie won that game. Ish versus The Unknown. Ish won that game. And in the West, we have Bread versus Ricky. Ricky won. Chabo versus Manny. Chabo won that game. And Jed versus Turbo, with Turbo winning.
And before we move on to the power rankings, this is your week 5 GM of the week, Mr. Turbo. Another a man among boys. He had a great week that week 5. I ain't gonna lie. When it comes to Turbo, having a really good year. It's something about these first year people that come out at tier 2. Them man will be killing in tier 3. But I like it. I like how he playing right now. And this is your week 6 GM of the week, Mr. Jed. Yeah, nothing more, nothing less. Just a statement after playing Turbo. Who just came off the GM of the week. That was a big win. That game, that was probably the best matchup for all tiers. That probably was the best matchup right there. And yeah, it came down to the last day. And when you have Joker to save you, ain't much you can do. But you know, Turbo had a really good week. Jed team just, I don't know. I feel like he just had a small little advantage. Just a little. But yeah, GM of the week, 5 and 6, Turbo, Jed.
Okay, and let's get into the week 7 power rankings for tier 3. Jimbo is 1, Jed is 2, Turbo is 3, Ish is 5, 6 is Chabo, Bread is 7, Draco is 8, 9 is Risha, Ernie is 10, The Unknown is 11, and Manny at 12.
And right now, this is your promotion, demotion watch for tier 3. So right now we have Jimbo and Jed at 1 and 2, and then we have Ricky at 3. It don't make no sense to have a 4th right now because we only have 2 slots open, and it's kind of like 1.5. Because when you watch Rain 1 and 5, it's not like Kadim 1 and 5. Like Rain team is really good. He just in a tough conference, like in a tough. And he's having it's funny, but he's actually having a good year. He's not having a bad year. He makes, in my opinion, I can get advance of why he's 1 and 5. I know why he's 1 and 5, but I wouldn't put it against him because that's like advance. But for most part, Karim, yeah, that ship damn near sunk. But Rain, I don't feel like Rain can easily make playoffs. Easily, like ain't even a debate. So still 2 slots open, but it's really like it really not much. But when you're looking at the demotion list now, same thing, nothing changed. Ish, Bread, Turbo, even Draco. Like they are playing good. Like, I don't know, like they are doing good. So it's gonna be tough to get rid of one. It's gonna be tough to get rid of one at the end of the year. And yeah, it's just one slot open for tier 3. That's it for the Demotion promotion watch. Let me move on to Gino's tier 3 parlay.
In the East, we have Jimbo versus Draco, Ish versus The Unknown, Risha versus Ernie. And in the West, we have Bread versus Chabo, Ricky versus Turbo, and Manny versus Jed. His last week results, he went 4 for 6. Not bad, not bad.
Bread and Turbo Selly. He needs to stop betting on Bread. Bread done tell he stop doing that joke. Yeah, Bread is 2 and 4. I think Gino betting he every single time. With that being said, this is my updated Tiers League top 25. We have Gino still at number 1. Chris is still at number 2. Drew is still at 3. Richie at 4. Shamoy is bumped up to number 5. Vashel is 6. Kimoy is 7. Jimbo is 8. Rain is 9. Plucky is 10, Iva is 11, Jed is 12, Ricky is 13, Kadeem is 14, Risha 15, Ernie 16, Tobo 17, 18 is Chabo, 19 is Ish, 20 Bread, 21 Mani, 22 Draco, and 23. Now 22 Draco getting into some tier 2 action. We have MJ, Ross, then Bash. 22, 23, 23, 24, and 25. So, I gotta point out some certain names. Let's talk about certain names before we move on quick and fast. The highlight names to me: Jimbo is 1, rank 8, probably higher. Who knows? But he's definitely up there. I would say between that 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, even 17. Definitely 17, matter of fact. Range, it can alternate. It can all alternate. Any one of them can be, to me, 12. Like, it's really that close. Then I would say 18, 19, 20, 21. They're not far off, but I wouldn't bracket them right now from what I've been seeing. Just yearly, throughout years. But they're not far either. Then I will honestly say declining players. I will say Iva, 1. Declining. Bread, another declining. I will say I wouldn't say Plucky. I was been in that range, but as far as declining players, that's pretty much that. As far as the top ranks, the reason why I don't move as much, I just feel like as far as what they have done consistently in the league, Chris got a ring and he's been consistent, and Gino has been very consistent, Drew very consistent, Richie, yeah, consistent, but he gotta get out that first round, man. It's hard because with Richie and Drew, they're really neck and neck. I feel like they both, it's hard when it comes to them. So what to separate them, in my opinion, is just playoff performance. And Drew ain't that much better than Richie, but it's hard to give Richie that knock over him when he have not one playoff win in Big 12. Another riser, in my opinion, is Shamoy. Shamoy is having, he did a lot of things this year. Don't get me wrong, he make a lot of mistakes, but that's a part of just being a trader. You gonna make some bad trades, hence me too. And I can see like moves that he's making, and I can see like he might win, in my opinion. Like, he have a really good chance of winning this year, and he improved a lot. Every year I've seen an improvement with him. And the last one, in my opinion, Kimoy, he a lot better. He's a lot better than what I thought. I always felt he was really good, but I didn't feel he would have done this good so far. I also feel like he have stuff that he needs to improve on, but that just comes with like years of just being in the league. Like, the Big 12 is such a fast-paced league, you have to be able to keep up, and he's keeping up. Like, he's keeping up. Will he have the same type of year next year? I don't know, because like I said, you can have a really good year one year, and then boom, next year you have a bad year. It takes at least 2-3 years to know how good somebody really is, in my opinion. And last but not least, Ish, having a great year. Again, I love that for Ish. This is probably the most active I've ever seen him, and I always gotta give you his flowers. He's doing his thing. And before we talk about them 23, 24, 25, MJ, Ross, Bash, let me get into some tier 2.
All right, you want going to tier 2. Let's start with a week 5 results. We have Bash versus Rashid. Bash won that game. Ras versus Rashawn. Rashawn won that game. JP versus Demoy. JP won that game. Grove versus Ian. Grove won. MJ versus Javon. MJ won. And Jordan versus Brandon. Brandon won that game. Moving on to week 6. In the East, we have Bash versus Demoy. Bash won that game. Javon versus Jordan. Jordan won. Rashawn versus Ian. Rashawn won. In the West, JP versus Grove. JP took that game. Ras versus the Unknown. Ras won that game. And Brandon versus MJ. MJ won that game. Straight into the week 7 power rankings. MJ is 1. Bash is 2. Brandon is 3. Rashawn is 4. Jordan is 5. JP is 6. Grove is 7. Ras is 8. Ian is 9. Demoy is 10. Javon is 11. And the Unknown at 12.
Yeah, so we do have another unknown. This one is from tier 1. Rash is going through some personal stuff. Again, it happens. You're going to have some people that go through some stuff in life, and it's very understandable. So Rash will be back in tier 2 next year, maybe tier 1, not sure yet. We see how the summer goes, but right now, love alone, prayers up, and that's that. And right now we have 3 names and the promotion watch for tier 2. We have MJ, Ras, and Bash. Right now we're looking like MJ is the clear runner for tier 3, and yeah, he having a really good year. But as it is, again, you can have a really good year and end up being trash. That's why in tier 3, either have that, you have to do 2 years. You have to do 2 years. Not knocking Risha or anything, but Risha dominate last year. But now she in a situation where she in a different situation. Like I said, a year after year, you have to be really good to consistently have good years. You have to know how to play the schedule. You have to know how to be able to play this game week by week. Like, ain't a lot, I can guarantee you. It's probably only 5 GMs that know how to do that in all 72. Probably only 5. And none of them, and all of them in Big 12. If even 5, if I'm being honest with you. So, it is hard. It is really hard. But right now, and I wouldn't take that away from him. He is having a really good year. Last year in tier 1, he made a really bad trade that fuck up his whole season. Like, he traded for 2 stars. But they got injured literally the next day, and that just kill year. But right now, yes, that's the people on my promotion list. I don't really have nobody on Demotion for tier 2 right now, but as far as promotion, this is what we have. But let me move on to Chris tier 2 parlay.
We have Bash versus Javon, Demoy versus Rashawn, Ian versus Jordan, Grove versus MJ, Brandon versus Rashid, and Ras versus JP. Last week, he went 3 for 6, 50%.
Yeah. Not much. I ain't gonna talk about it, man, but a 3 for 6 ain't good at all. Then before we can move on to tier 1, I'll be honest with you, this was a long episode, and for tier 1, I just gonna give out the power rankings. I don't have time for nothing else. So this is your week 7 power rankings for tier 1. We have Lock at 1, Pure at 2, Chad at 3, MG at 4, Joseph 5, Gillo 6, Sharif 7, Slick 8, Kyle 9, Dylan 10, Kerry 11, and Rhino at 12. It's bad when Ashley don't even want to talk. Like,
You took my thing.
Like, she don't even want to talk. Like, she's like, man, this tier is trash.
Hey.
She said this tier is trash, and she over it. And go ahead, knock it out, commish. But that's really it right now for this episode. If I have any questions, anything I want to talk to me, anything personal, anything I go and shoot, just DM me, message me. Don't just go out and just, disappear. Like, I always have an open policy in my inbox, in my DMs, email, wherever you want to message me. But with that being said, that's it for this week, power ranking and results. I'm out.